Welcome to all of you zooming in from Northern and Southern California and other places, other parts of the world. So please, if you have a chance, put your location and your land acknowledgement in the chat. I'm Mary White, co-chair of WEED, along with our other co-chair, Minouche Zomaradinia, who's also going to be our WEED host, for this presentation. And we are here to celebrate Charla Elizabeth, an artist, educator, eco-artist, and WEED member since 2005. So welcome, Charla.
Thank you.
Women's Eco-Artist Dialogue was founded in 1996 as a volunteer-run collective of women-identified visual artists, writers, curators, artists, art historians, researchers, scientists, and others interested in the intersection of art and ecological issues and dialogue. We'll start with the land acknowledgement. Just a minute here. And as I said, please put your own land acknowledgement in the chat. Our office in Oakland, California sits in the territory of the Huichen, the ancestral and unceded land of the Chichonio-speaking Ohlone people, the successors of the sovereign Verona tribe of Alameda County, near one of the largest shell mounds in the Bay Area. The land was and continues to be of great importance to the Muwima Ohlone tribe and other familiar descendants of the Verona band. WEED recognizes the Muwima Ohlone tribe, who are campaigning to become federally recognized, the Association of Ramaytush Ohlone for researching, revitalizing, and preserving Ramaytush history and culture, and the Confederated Villages of Lejeune and Sogorea Land Trust, who are working to return native land back to Indigenous stewardship. We have a little Zoom housekeeping here. We're recording this presentation, and please keep your audio muted during the presentation, and the host may mute you if there's extra noise. If you have questions during Charla's presentation, please put them in the chat for the questions section afterwards. We'll stop the recording after the main presentation and start it again immediately for the questions and answers. Now I'd like to introduce Charla. Charla Freeman Elizabeth earned an AB in art from Brown University and a Master's of Science in Communication Design from Pratt Institute. She is a two-time Pollock Krasner Award recipient for her nature reference sculpture, with artwork selected for inclusion in the permanent collections of the California African American Museum in LA. The District of Columbia Department of General Services recently awarded her a public art design commission for the District of Columbia Public Schools. Charla is an elected member of her local Arts in Public Places Council. She's a full-time professor at USC in Los Angeles, where she teaches foundation design, intermediate drawing, creating and understanding visuals, and the design challenge. She has worked as a visual artist, mentor, teacher for Theater of Hearts Youth First, providing visual arts education for predominantly Black and Latinx students, including at-risk and incarcerated youth and pregnant minors. Charla's sculptures are grounded in organic forms and created from natural materials such as steel, aluminum, glass, wool, wood, and cotton. Finding value in nature and its feminine essence, she honors both in her artwork. Her work at its essence is about equity and balance. My artwork career started early and has been a journey of melding multiple interests into one: art, feminism, nature, art education, community, and collaboration. Each has its own beginning and a role in my artwork. I will describe these elements and reveal how I've woven their threads together over the years. I identify as an artist naturalist, and it is through this identification that I became a WEED member. I believe that my work is aligned with WEED's mission to build community and create positive social change. So take it away, Charla. Welcome.
You have to unmute yourself, Charla. We can hear you.
Thank you. This is much better now, I'm sure. Thank you, everybody, for joining me today. And thank you, Mary and Manoush, for inviting me to be here, and Mary for that nice introduction. So as Mary outlined, I'm going to be in this presentation talking about several threads that have run through my work and informed my work. And I'll let you know where they came from and how I've woven them together over the years. And then I'm going to extend an invitation to all of you to join me in the creation of my newest piece. We'll talk about the theme. And lastly, I'll handle your questions if you have some. So, but before I get started, I want to about my artwork. I just want to talk about like how I came to be here with you today. I'm just going to back up here. Oops. I wanted to stop my video, but I guess I won't. So I was born in 1958 in Washington, D.C. Before me were two sisters. And when I was born, my father, Charles, gave up on having a boy and named me Charla after himself as a sort of, I don't know, next best solution. And when my brother, Charles Jr., was born, no fault of his own, the expressed relief and jubilant celebration made me question my value as a girl. Many families celebrate the birth of a boy more so than that of a girl, and my family was no different. Consequently, I've grown up advocating for the value of women. Now, as you can see, I was and remain a bit of a card and a ham. I believe I've been seeking attention in a world that places greater value on boys than it does girls. In tandem with my early experience with gender bias, I noticed that I had a clear desire to make art. When I was 9 years old, I whispered to myself that I wanted to be an artist. Growing up in DC, I spent a lot of time in Rock Creek Park, for those of you who are familiar with the city. Immersed in nature, I found my inspiration for my art. In my senior year of high school, I created an independent art project in response to the elimination of the arts programs in the DC public schools. I taught art twice weekly to 6th grade students at Shepherd Elementary, a local school. And this was the beginning of my career as an art educator. After high school, I was accepted into Brown University, where I earned a bachelor's degree in art in 1980. While at Brown, I took additional classes at the Rhode Island School of Design, as they had a cross-registration policy. And in my senior year, I spent a semester in Rome, Italy, as part of Temple University's Tyler College of Art program abroad. I'm just showing you some of my earliest works. It was in Italy that my love of nature and my passion for art were affirmed. Now, while I was still at Brown before I went to Italy, I had been working with very particular shapes in my prints. You can see them here in a detail of hieroglyphics. You can also see that I was feeling very cosmopolitan at the time. But when I went to Italy, lo and behold, I found these stones in the Adriatic Sea. I couldn't believe it because I had been drawing their images in my artwork before I found them. It was quite validating for me as a young aspiring artist to receive the gift of the forms I had been drawing. I was inspired to make several prints with these forms as the focus. Not only do these rocks have significance for me historically, they express my particular interest in nature and natural forms, textures, and colors. I appreciate their soft curves and sensual energy. I also value their openness. For me, they exemplify soft and strong simultaneously, which feels very feminine to me. After college, I moved from Washington, D.C. to New York to pursue a career in art. In 1987, I earned a master's degree in communications design from Pratt Institute in Brooklyn. When considering my thesis, I knew I wanted to work on an outdoor project. So I called the New York Parks and Recreation Department just as they were beginning to build Riverbank State Park. My thesis, a design solution for an urban park signage system, resulted in an invitation from the Parks Department to compete to create a signage system for Riverbank. While in Brooklyn, I married, I had a baby girl, Jordan. I gave myself the security of a graphic design job, but still maintained an art studio and continued to make art while being a mom. In 1994, I discovered frottage, which has been my primary painting technique. Frottage means to rub. So to begin, I go out into nature where I select a rock or a tree or tree roots or some other natural object for its texture. I wrap canvas around the object and apply and remove paint repeatedly by rubbing, sometimes over a period of days or weeks or even months, until the image of the surface texture is transferred to the canvas. I then remove the canvas from the object's surface and complete the painting in my studio. Using frottage, I feel like my artwork is an active collaboration with nature. Applying paint to a canvas where nature is providing the texture can feel collaborative, inclusive, and feminine. The textures I found in nature, or I find in nature, serve as the foundation of my paintings, both literally and figuratively. So frottage is my way of documenting nature, honoring it, honoring feminine energies, amplifying their voices, and sharing them with others. And so here are some of my favorites. And my notes from my favorites. This tree's bark was an iridescent silver blue gray, and the markings were simple, elegant forms and lines. Easy, effortless beauty. The rest of the forest in her midst fell away. Before long, the lines and forms in her bark began to remind me of objects: a trapeze artist in midair, a bystander, a swimmer, a lion, incongruous forms with no relation to each other, yet existing in a bond with the tree. When I went to the Grand Canyon, I was not prepared for the reds in the landscape. Wanting to use the natural colors in my work, I needed to get red paint, but I wasn't anywhere near an art store. So I searched the local drugstore and settled on red RIT dye. Canyon was created on a sandstone rock high up at the canyon's edge. I could look over the edge down into the canyon to the seemingly tiny Colorado River at the bottom. The rock I used had split into two, creating a crevice. I poured the red grit dye and rubbed the texture of a stone that touched the sky. Over time began with a careful descent down a steep hill. I could see from a distance that the bark on this tree was interesting as it was etched with horizontal lines. I looked up and my focus was split into two arms of equal strength lifting into the canopy. The finished rubbing was understated, muted, and soft. But when I began to work the painting in the studio, an abundance of objects emerged, as if the entire record of its memory was being imaged in symbols and fragments of a written language. This is from Rock Creek Park. And this is from Rock Creek Park. This is from Harriman State Park in upstate New York. This is from Acord, New York. And I rubbed this rock again and created this painting. This is from Pennsylvania. This is near Ithaca, New York. And this was a painting inside a painting, a sugar maple tree and a white ash tree. And in 2002, I had a solo show of my frottage paintings at the June Kelly Gallery in New York City. Now, also around that same time, I was trying to put together a short film about the life of a rock. It was titled My Life as a Rock. And I was trying to garner support from various people. And in particular, I was trying to get in touch with Andy Goldsworthy, a really amazing land artist. Through some research channels, I sent my storyboard to a man by the name of John Caddy. He was a poet naturalist, and he had a website called Morning Earth. I sent my storyboard to him because he had a connection to Andy Goldsworthy, but also because he expressed an interest in my project. He wrote back and he said, "You know, you're an artist naturalist." And I said to myself, okay, I can get behind that. So it was through researching artist naturalists that I came across ecofeminism. To me, the work I was doing in nature seemed to support an advocacy for women. So ecofeminism really brought things together for me in terms of a point of view and a social and historical context within which to create my artwork. And this was when I joined WEED. It was 2005. This is just a clip from this video idea. So also in 2005, I created a community event where I directed family and friends in making my wood sculptures. I was moving into 3D. I produced and hosted an auction of the sculptures at the Wilmer Jennings Gallery in New York City to raise funds for art education in New York City public schools. Again, my art education related activism is present. The proceeds from the auction were donated to an organization called Donors Choose that matches donors with public school art projects in need. And here are a few of the pieces from that community project. Also in 2005, my daughter and I moved to Los Angeles, California. She was 15 at the time and already was enjoying a great career as a child actor in New York. She played the roles of young Nala in The Lion King and Amaryllis in The Music Man, both on Broadway. She also had prominent roles in several feature movies. So I was a stage mom for many years, but she wanted to do TV, so we moved to California. This gave me a lot more opportunity to paint outside comfortably year-round. And here are samplings of my frottage works made with the textures of the West. This rock was particularly exciting for me to find because it had some kind of a fossil embedded or carved out of it, I should say. And this was made from a cork tree, which happens to be in my backyard. And I tacked up some canvas around the tree with some push pins after apologizing to the tree. And it stayed up for almost a year, like through rain and heat and squirrels. And after that much time, I was wondering, I wonder why it's staying up so long. And then it dawned on me, it's on a cork board. This is near Ojai. This is from Abiquiu, New Mexico, specifically Ghost Ranch in New Mexico. Now, once in California, I began teaching art and design at the college level, and I also became an artist mentor, providing art instruction and mentoring to inmates at the Page Camp and Barry J. Nordoff juvenile detention halls, serving both boys and girls. And some of my favorite projects, I'm going to show you those. This one is the proclamation scroll. This is made by girls, the girls section. And this paper mache project uses paper towel rolls and creates a platform for student declarations. And this paper mache project gave these boys an opportunity to transform. And it also served a practical purpose. I was able to photograph their faces, which is not allowed while they're incarcerated. And this gridded transfer painting project, these boys were among a group of kids who came to a family center in Inglewood, California for an after-school art program. So using imagery that connected with the kids, I inspired them to create a grid over that image that they could then transfer to a canvas, making the painting process more accessible. They were very proud of their work and eager to show it off. Many of my career achievements in Los Angeles have contributed to the African American community. My sculpture, 9 Months, recently was selected by the California African American Museum, or CAM, for inclusion in the museum's permanent collection. 9 Months is self-illuminating. It is made of 81 felted wool balls, which are lit by LED lights. I have exhibited my sculptures and paintings at CAM in the LA Blacksmith exhibit, in the Hard Edged exhibit, and in the Shared Thread exhibit. These are the pieces in my studio and being installed. And here is the video of the mobile. Also, in terms of community building, I was selected as the lead artist in the Lamert Park Youth Public Art Projects, directing Black children and creating a mural in the heart of the Black community. I was also commissioned by One United Bank, the first Black internet bank and the largest Black-owned bank in the country, to create a series of artworks for their Crenshaw branch. And here are just a few selections from that collection. In 2005, I received a second Pollock Krasner grant for my sculpture and made a collection of sculptures about my life being born a girl. In making the collection, I identified a number of aspects of feminine energy as described by several traditions. Feminine energy is magnetic, open, peaceful, flexible, creative, and compassionate. And it has a natural tendency to connect with other women, our grandmothers, mothers, daughters, sisters, cousins, co-workers, and girlfriends. The first sculpture of the collection was inspired by root systems. I call it Affinity. This sculpture consists of 10,000 wires bent into specific shapes. I invited my sisters and girlfriends from all over the country to collaborate with me in the making of the sculpture. I filmed an instructional video for each piece and sent a packet of supplies and tools to my collaborators. The pieces came back. Each person's a little different, but that was perfectly in keeping with the spirit of the sculpture, which was to honor each woman's individuality within the context of our collective creative power as women. And here is the finished piece. And here it is at CAM in the installation. And this is a composite of all the women who worked on this piece. A diverse group of women who worked separately and together, building affinity among themselves through art. So I am in the process of developing another collaborative sculpture like Affinity, where a group of people assist in creating the piece. This time the theme is mother. I invite you to be a part of it. If you feel inspired to participate, please send me a picture of your mother's face through my Weed page or directly to charla.freeman.elizabeth@gmail.com, and I will be in touch. Hopefully we can make art together and learn about art in the process while honoring women and nature. So thank you so much. And now I'd like to turn it over to Mary for your questions.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful and inspiring. Thank you so much. This is just want to thank you, Charla. It's wonderful. So what we're going to do right now is I'll talk about Weed for just a moment. As I said before, we're a volunteer group of women identified artists and others who are interested in environmental and social justice. And we'd love to have you check out our website, weedartist.org, and possibly join in with some of our activities, or if you have a suggestion for a speaker or something that you'd like to collaborate with us on, like an exhibition that you have in mind in your part of the world, then do that. So please check out our website. We'll put it in the chat. So thank you very much. We'll now stop this recording and we'll start